In a small house on the outskirts of Los Angeles, the Daniels family lives a seemingly perfect life. John Daniels, a successful middle-aged man, is the CEO of a technology company, and his wife, Emma Daniels, is an elementary school teacher. They have 2 children, a boy and a girl, and from the outside their life looks peaceful and stable. But as they say, good things are often overshadowed by hidden secrets. Emma and John have built a life together for more than 15 years, a period of time long enough for them to understand every aspect of each other, from small habits to big dreams. At the beginning of their marriage, they were full of love and enthusiasm, overcoming difficulties in work and finances together and taking care of their 2 children. Every evening they sit together on the sofa, exchanging stories about work, children, and plans for the future. But time keeps passing, and the initial enthusiasm is gradually eroded by daily worries. Emma, a dedicated teacher, spends her days caring for and educating the children in her classroom, then is busy taking care of her small family. Work becomes increasingly stressful, and time for yourself, your husband and children gradually becomes a luxury. Romantic evenings by candlelight are now just evenings sitting at the desk, grading and preparing lessons for the next day. Emma becomes exhausted and loses interest in things she once valued. John is no different. As a CEO, he faces enormous pressure from work. Continuous projects require him to travel far away, sometimes for weeks or even months. When he gets home, he is often exhausted and just wants to rest, without the energy to talk or care about his wife and children. Long business trips made him and Emma grow increasingly distant. Every time he returned, he felt like he was entering a strange home, where he was no longer a part of family life. Their conversations became short and superficial, only revolving around things that needed to be done, bills that needed to be paid, or children's problems. They no longer sit together to share deep thoughts, dreams, or plans like before. Everything becomes monotonous and bland. The fire of passion in their marriage, once burning fiercely, is now only weak sparks, ready to extinguish at any time. A stressful and busy life has pushed Emma to her limit. Not only does she have to manage her classroom, but she also has to take care of the house and 2 children. The pressures from work and family piled on Emma's shoulders, making her increasingly tired and exhausted. She realized that she could not continue to maintain everything as completely as before. During long sleepless nights, Emma thought about her life, about the heavy responsibilities she was shouldering alone. John, the husband she once loved and shared everything with, is now often away from home, leaving her alone to face all the responsibilities of the family. Emma felt lonely and abandoned, but instead of blaming, she chose to endure and try to find a solution to her problem. After many sleepless nights, Emma decided that they needed to hire a maid to ease her burden. And that's when Lisa, a young, energetic girl, entered their lives. Lisa not only helps Emma with housework, but also brings a breath of fresh air to the Daniels family. But few people know that Lisa's appearance is not only a solution to current problems, but also the beginning of a series of unexpected tragedies. When Lisa entered the Daniels family's house, she not only brought freshness and energy, but also completely changed the atmosphere in the family. The young girl, with her bright smile and enthusiasm for work, quickly won everyone's hearts. Lisa is not simply a maid, but becomes an indispensable part of the family's daily life. Emma, a busy wife, felt like a burden had been lifted when Lisa helped her. Lisa not only does housework well, but also takes good care of her children, allowing Emma to focus more on work and take advantage of opportunities to go on long business trips that she had difficulty arranging before. But Lisa's presence ushered in unpredictable changes in the relationship between John and Emma. John, already feeling tired and lonely in his marriage, begins to pay attention to Lisa. At first, that attention was just fleeting, but then it gradually turned into a sweet obsession. Lisa, with her youthfulness and vitality, gives John a feeling he has not felt in a long time, a feeling of being wanted and cared for. Things started to get more complicated when Emma had to go away on business for a few days. It was a business trip that Emma had been looking forward to for a long time, an opportunity to assert herself at work. Before leaving, she felt completely secure in leaving the house and children in Lisa's care. Emma did not expect that during those days away from home. A dangerous relationship was silently blooming right under her roof. While Emma was away, John and Lisa spent more time together. At first, it was just longer than usual conversations, evenings watching TV together after the kids had gone to bed. But that closeness gradually ignited a fire that neither of them could control. One evening, after having had a few glasses of wine, the two could no longer keep their distance. They gave each other deep looks, meaningful touches, and finally, everything exploded into lovemaking right in John's house. John's long-suppressed emotions seemed to be released. He felt young again, full of energy. Lisa also feels a strong charm from John, a mature, successful, and powerful man. That night, they officially crossed the line, starting a secret love affair full of passion and danger. In the following days, while Emma was still on a business trip, John and Lisa continued to enjoy their time together. John took Lisa shopping at luxury stores, giving her expensive clothes and gorgeous jewelry. They are like a real couple, holding hands walking around the streets, having dinner at high-end restaurants. With each gift that John gave, Lisa felt cherished and appreciated like she had never felt before. The love between John and Lisa is not just a temporary passion, but gradually develops into a complex and intense relationship. After officially crossing the line the night Emma was away, John and Lisa couldn't return to normal life. The intense feelings between them become deeper and deeper, and both begin to enjoy the romantic and dramatic moments they create in secret. John began planning unexpected trips away with just him and Lisa. He used the excuse of having unexpected meetings in neighboring cities and often took Lisa with him. They rented luxury villas where they could both comfortably be together without fear of being discovered. These trips are not only to satisfy their physical needs, but also a time for them to explore together and share things that they have never dared to tell anyone else. One of their most memorable trips was to a lavish resort in Napa Valley, where John booked a private villa in the middle of a sprawling vineyard. They spent the day exploring the winding trails, holding hands in the gentle sunlight, enjoying the fresh air and absolute quiet. In the evening, they enjoyed wine together, sat by the fireplace in a cozy room, talking about their dreams and the things they wanted to achieve in life. Those moments were not only filled with passion, but also filled with a deep connection, making both of them feel like they had found their true soulmate. In everyday life, John and Lisa also create reasons to spend time together. One day, Lisa told John that she had always dreamed of learning to drive, and John quickly realized this was an opportunity for them to be together more. He decided to teach Lisa to drive, and from then on, the driving lessons turned into romantic dates, where they drove everywhere, stopped at small roadside cafes, and enjoyed delicious food together. Simple but sweet moment. Another time, John decided to do something special for Lisa. Knowing she loved art, he secretly arranged a private tour at a famous gallery in the city. They go through each painting together, sharing feelings and thoughts about art and life. After the tour, John bought Lisa a painting that she especially loved, as a symbol of their love. This gift makes Lisa feel appreciated and loved, causing her to sink even deeper into this dangerous relationship. Their affair became even more complicated when John began taking Lisa to social events that he regularly attended. He took her to luxurious parties and balls in the upper class, where Lisa was introduced as John's business partner. The two felt excited and adventurous when appearing together in the public eye, but kept their true relationship a secret. The gentle touches of hands under the banquet table, the meaningful glances exchanged, all make their relationship more interesting and dramatic. During the times they couldn't see each other, John and Lisa maintained contact through secret texts and calls. They exchanged sweet words of love and future plans that they dreamed of making together. Every text, every call only increases their desire to be together, making them unable to stop. even knowing that everything could collapse at any time. However, tension also gradually crept into their relationship. The feeling of guilt begins to weigh heavily on both of them as they realize that every moment spent together could lead to unpredictable consequences. John feels pressured to constantly hide this relationship, and Lisa begins to fear that it will be discovered and she will lose everything. But the passion, the intense connection between them, is still too strong to end. The relationship between John and Lisa has crossed the line of stealth, becoming an indispensable part of both of their lives, leading them into a dangerous spiral whose outcome no one can predict. John and Lisa, after many months of living in stress and anxiety because of their affair, realized that they could no longer maintain this life. The fear of being discovered by Emma grows stronger, and with that, the desire to live freely together also becomes stronger. But to get there, they know that not only Emma, but also her 2 children must disappear. This is no longer an impulsive decision, but a carefully planned cruel plan, full of calculation and cruelty. John began to prepare a plan to secretly but meticulously kill his wife and children. He knew that to avoid any suspicion, their deaths had to happen in a completely isolated place, where the traces could easily be hidden and no one could detect them. The remote forest, where he camped when he was young, was the perfect location for this barbaric crime. During the week before the plan was made, John pretended to become more interested in the family, even suggesting a camping trip to bond everyone. Emma, although feeling strange about this sudden change, believed that her husband was trying to do something good for the family, so she agreed. The 2 children were extremely excited at the idea of the trip, not knowing that this would be the last trip of their lives. Before leaving, John carefully prepared everything from sedatives to ensure that Emma and the children would not be able to resist, to the necessary tools to dig a hole to bury the body. He chose odorless, tasteless sedatives that he had secretly purchased before, ensuring that when mixed into food or drink, no one would detect it. The fateful day came. John drove his family to a remote forest, away from the noise of the city and prying eyes. They camped deep in the woods, a location that John had carefully chosen. Throughout the day, John maintained a calm appearance, even appearing happy and loving so as not to make Emma suspicious. They grilled meat together, told stories and laughed, creating an atmosphere that seemed completely normal. When night fell, John put a sedative in Emma and the 2 children's drinks, then sat there, waiting for them to fall into a deep sleep. The laughter and talking of the 2 children gradually stopped, leaving only the sound of the wind whistling through the woods. Once he was sure that all 3 were completely unconscious, John began carrying out the most brutal part of his plan. John, with the large hunting knife he had prepared, walked closer to Emma, who was sleeping soundly. With one swift movement, he stabbed straight into her heart, ensuring that Emma would have no chance to wake up or resist. She died instantly, without having time to understand what had happened. He continued with the 2 children, stabbing each knife accurately and cruelly, ending their lives in silence. Their blood splattered on the ground, seeping into the grass and dirt under their feet, while John kept his cold expression, not showing any emotion. After making sure all 3 were dead, John began the next step of his plan. John dragged the bodies of Emma and her 2 children deeper into the forest, the place John had chosen in advance to bury them. It was a desolate place, far from the beaten path, where there were hardly any passers-by. John began digging 3 large holes, deep and wide enough to bury the entire body. He knew that if just one body was discovered, everything would collapse, so he carefully buried 3 bodies in 3 different locations, hoping that this would make it difficult for anyone to find them. Discovered the remaining bodies. The process of burying the body lasted all night. John worked in silence, only the sound of the shovel hitting the ground and the sound of panting in the dark. Once completed, John carefully erased all traces, covering the burial holes with leaves and dry branches, making them look like natural parts of the forest. When it was almost dawn, they packed up their tents and left the forest, as if nothing had happened, with a perfect plan in mind. After committing a horrifying crime in the forest, John returned home alone, trying to keep a calm appearance so that no one would suspect him. He carefully erased all traces, carefully packed up the car, and returned to his daily life as if nothing had happened. To neighbors and friends, John is still a normal man, still going to work and interacting with people as if he had never experienced a tragedy. He made up a story about Emma and her 2 children visiting relatives in another state, making everyone believe that his family was only temporarily absent. In the first days after the murder, everything seemed to go according to John's plan. He and Lisa started seeing each other more often, but kept their relationship a secret. Lisa did not move in with John immediately to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. They only met at John's house at discrete times or in other locations away from home where no one could find out about their relationship. John felt like everything was going in the right direction, that he and Lisa could finally live freely together without being bound by the past. However, the quiet did not last long. After about 2 weeks, John's neighbors began to feel that something was wrong. They began to notice the prolonged absence of Emma and her 2 children, especially when there had been no contact from them. Neighbors, who were familiar with the Daniels family, began to ask about this unusual absence. John still maintained his story, saying that Emma and the children would return soon, but the vagueness in his words only increased suspicion. Finally, one of the neighbors, feeling uneasy about this suspicious silence, decided to call the police. Police began a preliminary investigation, focusing on verifying John's story about Emma and the children visiting relatives. They started by examining contact records and looking for clues through people who knew the family. John, with coldness and calculation, continued to maintain his story and tried not to reveal any loopholes. Initially, the police did not find clear evidence to incriminate John. He erased all traces related to his crimes, from call history to items in the house. But John's suspicious calmness became his weakness. A man who has just lost both his wife and child would usually not be able to maintain such composure, and this made the police decide to continue investigating further. When police reviewed footage from security cameras in the area, they discovered an important detail: Lisa frequently visited John's house, not only after Emma and the children disappeared, but also before that, with suspicious frequency. This is not only suspicion of an illicit relationship, but may also be related to the mysterious disappearance of Emma and her 2 children. Realizing that the relationship between John and Lisa could be the key to unlocking a dark secret, the police decided to focus their investigation on these 2 people. They began to collect evidence about John and Lisa's relationship, from text messages, phone calls, to Lisa's appearances at John's house. Everything gradually becomes clear. Not only was it an extramarital affair, but possibly also a plot to murder Emma and her children. The police decided to question both John and Lisa, separating the 2 so that no one had a chance to exchange stories. John, with fake calm, tried to deny any involvement, claiming that the relationship between him and Lisa was just business. However, Lisa, under the pressure of the interrogation and her growing sense of guilt, began to show signs of panic. The police's persistence made her gradually lose control, and in the end, Lisa admitted everything. Lisa claimed that she and John had been in a relationship for a long time, and that John planned to kill his wife and children so that he could freely live with her without strings attached. Lisa's confession immediately took the investigation to a new turn. Police began searching the woods where John said the family had gone camping, and after several days of searching, they discovered the buried bodies of Emma and the 2 children. All details that Lisa provided matched the present. At trial, John had no choice but to admit his crime when all the evidence was so clear. The horrifying details of the murder and conspiracy revealed in court made the whole community shudder. John was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, having to spend the rest of his life in prison with unredeemable sins. Lisa, although not directly involved in the murder, was charged with complicity, participating in the conspiracy, and concealing the crime. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. During her time in prison, Lisa had to face years of haunting and remorse for what had happened. The secret love affair, full of passion and sin, starting from intense emotions, eventually led them down a path of sin from which they could not turn back. Their end was a just punishment, a price they had to pay for the cruel and inhumane actions they had committed. What they thought would bring freedom and happiness is now nothing but destruction and the total collapse of their lives.